Welcome back to Red and Blue. I'm Caitlin Huey-Burns. Senator Mitch McConnell is officially on track to become the longest-serving party leader in the history of the Senate. The Kentucky senator has won re-election as Senate Minority Leader over a last-minute challenge from Senator Rick Scott. Today's vote came after Republicans failed to gain a single seat so far in the midterm elections. We have those Georgia runoffs coming up. But Senate Minority Leader McConnell said Republicans, quote, have a problem with the people in the middle. This as he reflected on the results earlier today.
We underperformed among voters who did not like President Biden's performance among independents and among moderate Republicans who looked at us and concluded too much chaos, too much negativity, and we turned off a lot of these centrist voters.
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now for more on this. Hey there, Scott. So can you kind of break down what McConnell is saying there? In his view, why did Republicans fail so far to gain these Senate seats?
What a fundamental problem that is articulated by Senator McConnell, that the Republican Party is not and has not been reaching people in the middle, independent voters, people who are, in his words, moderates, something both parties not only strive to do, but need to do to succeed. He has been critical of the candidates put forward by the Republican Party in some Senate races across America this year, and I think he's kind of doubling down on that criticism. But we learned today that Mitch McConnell, who's been this outsized force, this dominating figure at the U.S. Senate for so many years, is going to remain a dominant force and an outsized figure, in part because he knows how to find votes inside his own Senate Republican conference. The vote behind closed doors today in a secret ballot election for Senate Republican leadership was 37-10. Mitch McConnell wins overwhelmingly, so he will continue in his post. I talked to Ted Cruz, who was one of those 10 votes against Senator McConnell, who says it was all cordial today before the vote during the meetings. He says that maybe the 10 vote sends a message that things should change, that a double-digit vote against Senator McConnell, as Senator Cruz characterized it, might cause more change inside the Senate Republican conference. But Senator McConnell made no concessions and made no promises to change anything.
Yeah, Scott, I'm interested in those 10 senators who voted against him because, as you say, McConnell was voted overwhelmingly to continue on. But I still think that it's significant that you had this group, really for the first time in, I think, 15 years that McConnell has been challenged. In your conversations with Cruz and some of these others, I mean, what exactly did they want changed? Or is this more of a reflection of, look, we just lost the Senate again. We need to make some kind of change?
Now, in the letter released by Senator Rick Scott, the challenger who was defeated in the vote internally in the Senate Republican conference today, he called for a change in some of what he characterized as the status quo, kind of the blocking and tackling of how the Senate Republican conference operates, the ability for members to get what they want, senators to get what they want from leadership, what ends up in amendments, what ends up as a Senate Republican priority, some of the internal processes. Senator McConnell responded to that today, saying that there has been a process for any 5 members to call a meeting of the entire Senate Republican conference anytime they want. And he actually characterized it today as he advised those members to look at the rules that are already in place, that if you want something, come to me, 5 of you, and we'll make something happen. But there were no concessions exacted before this vote today, which made it feel like a Don Quixote mission. They didn't have the votes to topple Mitch McConnell. A couple of them, including Senator Cruz and Senator Mike Braun of Indiana, have gone on the record saying they voted elsewhere. So the pathway here to what they intended to achieve is murky to me and was murky to some other senators in the room.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, they still have a campaign going on. Of course, that Senate runoff in Georgia, that's an opportunity for them to flip a Democratic seat to the Republicans' favor. What did Mitch McConnell say about that forthcoming election?
Well, let me start with what he didn't say, Caitlin, because he was peppered with questions of, are you concerned Donald Trump's announcement on Tuesday night might distract or impact the runoff election? He begged off of any questions about Donald Trump, as he's been doing now for months. He said that the Senate Republican Conference is, of course, focused on this runoff election. In fact, he kind of cheered the fact that there is a runoff election because It was clear to everyone, based on the vote totals last Tuesday, that at this moment, Senator Warnock has more votes than Herschel Walker. So the redo, the reset in 3 weeks may help Herschel Walker. Maybe they can get a fresh start on the campaign. But the runoff election does have an impact. Even though the Senate majority has been determined, a 51-49 Senate is worlds different than a 50-50 Senate. Democrats can have 2 absences and still win a vote. And not everything is hinging on the vote of Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who, by the way, is in an election cycle now and may be more difficult vote to gather than he even has been over the past few years.
Yes, Scott, I know you reported earlier that he already has a challenger for 2024. So once again, all eyes on Georgia to see how that shakes out. Scott MacFarlane, thank you for your reporting, as always.
Thank you.